Charlotte's mum, Roz, and her sister Katie join us now, and we're so sorry you're here under these circumstances. Thank you for talking to us today. And let's start, Katie, with you, because they were matched on a dating site, and you knew about the date, didn't you?
Yep.
Was there communication on that night between you?
Yes. So we were WhatsApping, messaging, and she was up until she was on the boat, telling us about the date, and before going out on the river, and she was just on her first date. She didn't realise the dangers, and she didn't realise Shepherd's intentions, I suppose, and how much of a disregard for safety
he had.
And
this was something that he'd done many times before.
Yeah.
I mean, he really wined and dined her. He took her to a beautiful restaurant in the Shard. He went back to the houseboat with her, took her on the Thames on this boat of his. And this, as you found out in the trial, was something he'd done previously with other women.
Yeah, I mean, a bit of a shock to us, because, Charlie wouldn't have known any of that. And she just, she just was going on a date that she thought would have thought he was a nice person.
Well, as you say, the disregard for safety. Legal records show the boat had faulty steering, life jackets were out of reach, the kill cord, which should, as soon as someone goes overboard, that should switch the boat off, had been disconnected. Because footage from her own phone said that she could be heard saying, "Oh my God, you're going so fast." And I don't want to go into too many details here, quite obviously, but don't to distress you. But what do you know about the crash? What the witnesses say?
We don't really know. The only person that actually knows is Jack Shepherd himself. There was witnesses that came to court, but we don't really know. They're surmising stuff.
It was very dark, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it was very difficult to see what had happened.
What happened? Well, he was found clinging to the upturned boat, and overnight they sadly couldn't find Charlotte at that time. He wasn't breathalyzed at the time, and the Metropolitan Police said the incident was initially dealt with as a fast-moving rescue of 2 people. He was suffering from shock and hypothermia following the crash, and he required medical attention. He was originally treated as a significant witness rather than a suspect, and that's why he wasn't tested for alcohol until 14 hours after the incident, and it showed 0 alcohol, although they did say he was acting in a very drunk manner. You're disappointed in that crucial bit of evidence?
I from the start, I mean, this is my only personal, I think they could have used common sense at that stage, and taking a breath test, they do it to everyone else involved in a car accident. But leading on to that, the reason why we were told is we are now campaigning as a family. We've got a petition on the website to bring in legislation, because there are no laws for private vessels.
The rules for waterways are very different to the rules for
There is none.
Which is why the police were unsure to breathalise, because they weren't really aware of the laws, because
they didn't exist. Yeah.
And so he entered a not guilty plea. The date for the trial was set, and then on the morning of the trial, you were told that he'd actually absconded months earlier.
Yes.
And but the judge made a very unusual decision to continue with the trial.
Yeah, I mean, it was his ultimate decision. They did ask us our opinion, and we'd waited so long on our opinion, and we'd wanted to go ahead. It wasn't everyone's opinion, I don't think, but ultimately it was the judge that made the decision.
Oh, and since her death, he'd married, he'd fathered a son.
A month later, he got married. In the paper, they're saying 2 months, but we were told a month.
Yeah. Were the jury told that he had absconded?
Not at first.
No, they weren't, no.
In fact, how long was it before they knew why he wasn't there and the trial was continuing?
Yeah, it was a few weeks in, so that was a shock to us as well, because we've sat there and we know that he's chosen to abscond, and there was the jury not being told.
For the reasons, because I think it was an earlier court case where they hadn't mentioned that if he didn't turn up to court, then the jury would be told. So little tiny loopholes that seem to have sort of saved him all the way through during this.
Essentially, Shepherd has used and abused the law and the legal system for his own benefit, and now, he's now using it to find a loophole to try and appeal, having not turned up and having still being a fugitive, is still in contact with his lawyers, and he still managed to
And this is what's most shocking. So he is in contact with his lawyers. His lawyers are doing nothing illegal because this is the system that's in place, so nobody's actually doing anything wrong. We can have our own opinions on how ethical we find it, but in the eyes of the law, nobody's actually done anything wrong. He is using legal aid, the taxpayers' money, to fund this appeal.
And on that point, we are quite confused at what grounds he is able to have legal aid at this point, being a fugitive as well. For someone who lived on a houseboat and owns a speedboat, we don't think he strikes us as a man who is in need of financial help either.
Yeah.
Well, he took out loans totaling more than £50,000 before going on the run. And it's emerged that he defaulted on...
That was before the trial as well.
Yeah, then he defaulted on 10 loans totaling more than 50k. Understood that the loans were obtained between January and May 2016.
What I would like to say, though, sorry.
No, go on.
That's all right.
We've got to remember that Charlotte has lost her life through his actions. And also, Jack Shepherd and his defence team are the driving force for this media coverage. They are the ones that are driving this forward. No one else. As a family, we're being dragged along behind them, but it's Jack Shepherd and the defence team are totally driving this.
Well, as Holly said, that they have legally done nothing wrong. Morally, you can have your own judgment. His lawyers have said that they don't know where he is, and under client confidentiality rules, they are not in a position to help the police find him. He could be anywhere in the world. DCI Mick Norman of the Homicide Major Crime Command has said Shepherd is subject to an international arrest warrant. We need the continued assistance of the public. We would appeal to Mr Shepherd's friends and associates who may be assisting him through a misplaced sense of loyalty to do the right thing and share any information that they have with the police. It's very hard to go on the run without help. Somebody must know where he is.
That's what we believe. Someone must know, he must be getting help from somewhere. So we would urge those people to come forward and do the right thing, because also, you know, for him, he's got his whole life ahead of him. How can you be on the run forever?
And also, most importantly, if you are watching this and you know where he is, or if he's watching, or what you've got to remember is behind all of this is a family who are left behind, and that's you two. And it impacts everybody. And until this is dealt with, you can't grieve for something that is so horrific. I mean, what does this do to you? How can you possibly pick up the pieces?
It's constant, you know. It's constant in our lives. And we have grieved for Charlotte, but we can't grieve properly because it's a continuation of court cases and more events that happen, and it's like everyone's shocked, but no one can do anything about it.
No matter what, so when you say it's difficult, it was dark, you know, you're unsure of precisely what happened on that boat, but, you know, it's pretty much without question that they were on that boat together, there was an accident, and he has absconded.
I clearly think that my thought, so this is just my thought, and I'm not going to back off from this one, that he staged the accident because she was out on the boat before.
Well, obviously, we've got to say that we don't know that that's the case.
No, but I'm saying my gut feeling.
Of course, which you're fully entitled to do. If you do know where he is, then the Daily Mail have offered a £25,000 reward for anyone who can help catch him. And have you had any sort of remorse from him or his family?
There's been a complete deafening silence from Shepherd, his family, his friends. They won't comment, they won't cooperate. So, but what we would like from this is, one, for Jack to be caught, for hopefully some help to help find him, but also to raise awareness of the lack of the law. And we have a petition to help make our waterways safer. If you search Charlie Brown petitions, then we can help make a change, and hopefully this won't happen to another family.
Absolutely.
I mean, all I will say, the last thing, is that I'm just a mum who doesn't want this to happen to anyone else. I don't want, Charlotte lost her life, unnecessarily through someone else's actions. If there was laws in place, you know, would she have lost her life? You know, if life jackets was mandatory, if, you know, excess speeding was a criminal offence, and alcohol, same as cars, would that have happened? You know, there's a grey area.
There's no equivalent of a MOT or licence. You didn't need to have a licence, no training, no MOT for the boat. If it's in a car, that would be ludicrous.
Yeah, it is shocking
needs to
when
come
you
to-
hear about it.
If this went even further, if you extend this even further, I mean, there is the possibility that he could have absconded from that trial, he could get his appeal, he could win at appeal, never appear in court, and no one ever sees him again.
Yeah.
And without ever facing a judge or a jury, he could have been sentenced because he was actually sentenced to manslaughter by gross negligence and sentenced to 6 years in prison in July 2018. And so if this went to its bizarrest conclusion, he may never appear in front of a court. He might have been sentenced, then he might win the appeal, and then he might be free.
And he's also wanted for another charge as well, which we don't know what's happening with that, so...
Well, let's hope someone watching today knows where he is.
And as we started this interview, we're just so sorry that you're here even having to discuss this under these circumstances. We truly are.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.